I hope you're fine, yeah? Okay. Now I'm going to share my PPT. So today is 11th April. Hang on. Okay, great to hear that. And do you know what is this? I think you know, maybe yesterday or 2 days ago, I forgot. There was an earthquake in the south of East Java. Right, you know it, right? Okay. So does anyone of you here live close to that area? Is Java or maybe Bali? Or maybe no one, yeah? Okay, great to hear that. So I think you are in a very safe place. So here, I took it from the Jakarta Post that 6 magnitude earthquake strike off East Java coast. Oh, Julian live just near West Malang, maybe Surabaya or Batu. Okay, so next here, what happened? A 6 magnitude earthquake struck off the coast of Indonesia Java Island Saturday. The United States Geological Survey said, but no tsunami warning was issued. Oh, from Erna, you are from Surabaya. I see. Did you feel it, Erna? I think you are okay, yeah? Oh, a little, okay. And then, hang on, I need to put this one down. The quake hit at a depth of 82 kilometers, around 50 miles, about 45 kilometers southwest of Malang City in East Java. There were no immediate response of casualties, but Temblor shocked Malang, a city of several millions people. So, any difficult word or your new vocabulary? I think most of you know already what is magnitude, right? Hang on. So, oh, casualties. Casualties mean uh, the deaths of people. Let's check ini ya, the the vocabulary in Google. Oh, struck off. Struck mean hit. Tunggu. So let's check here, yeah. Casualties. And casualty means a person killed or injured in a war or accident. In this case, is an accident, yeah, in earthquake. And struck off. Yeah, the present is strike. So hit forcibly or deliberately with one's hand or weapon or other implement. Or number two, of a disaster, disease, or unwelcome phenomenon, like that. A victim from Erna. Which one? Victim, I think, is korban, yeah. Okay, so let's start a new share. So any other new vocabulary for you? Casualties. I think now you know what is casualties, right? Do you still remember what is casualties?
Yeah,
Those
miss.
people who are died, yeah, by accident. And then magnitude, I think you know, is a measurement for the earthquake. Or we call it also the size. What is temblor? Does anyone know temblor? Gempa, yeah, exactly. So that's temblor, yeah, very good. Okay, so next, how can you truly comfort someone in a way that is genuine when you hurt maybe your friends or your family got this disaster? So how do you say in English? Anyone want to try? Okay, so yeah. Tell your friend or your loved one to reach out if they need something. So you can tell, don't be hesitate to call me if you need anything like that. Yeah. And then what is the difference between tumbler and earthquake? Tumbler maybe like shaking, getaran gitu ya. Earthquake, gempa bumi. Um, am I correct? Let's check. Tumbler. Trembler means, oh yeah, it's also earthquake, yeah, it's similar. Yes, Julian, maybe you're correct. Yes, trembler is also another name of an earthquake. I think trembler is also from trembling. When you are trembling means you are shaking. Okay, and then here you can say also, I'm sorry, how can I help you? And other than that, does anyone want to try? How, how can you truly comfort someone? And maybe I'm sorry for your loss. And this is very common, yeah. I'm sorry for your loss. And then I wish I had the right word, just knew I care. If you don't know how to express your feeling, maybe it is better to uh, listen what the people say. And then I'm always just a phone away. So this is what you most probably will say to those people who are suffered in a loss. Yeah. Okay. So next, and other than that, the earthquake here on 4th of April, the flood and landslide also happened in the East Timor, um, in NTT, ya, Nusa Tenggara Timur, and also in some place in Flores, if I'm not mistaken. I took I took this one from CNN. And does anyone want to read?
Miss, I want to read.
Okay, okay.
Jakarta, Indonesia, CNN. flash flood, unleashed by torrential rains, killed 41 people on the Indonesian island of Flores on Sunday. The Disaster Management Agency (BNPB) said, and at least 3 more were reported killed in neighboring East Timor. At least 49 families were hit on Flores, in the east of Indonesia's sprawling archipelago. Raditya Jati, a BNPB spokesman, said in a statement. Dozens Dozens of houses were buried in mud in La Manele village. Residents' house washed away by the flood, Raditya said, referring to the eastern part of Flores. On Adorana Island, to the east of Flores, a bridge collapsed and rescuers were battling heavy.
Okay, thank you. I think we
Okay,
cut
sure.
from this one first, yeah? Thank, thank you. And anyone know what does it mean of unleashed? What is unleashed? If I'm not mistaken, Robin, who is the name? Yeah, Unleash Your Power. The book called Unleash the Power. So what does it mean, unleash? Tak terbendung, right? Maybe setidaknya. Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay, nice try. So unleash mean release. Like you release your own power, unleash your power. So the flood unleashed. Unleash mean tak terbendung. Yeah, that's correct, Erna. So by torrential. What does it mean torrential? Maybe I need to write something. Hang on. So I will write here, make it a little bit smaller. So unleash mean release. And then torrential. What does it mean torrential? Torrential means very heavy rain. Let's check torrential. So torrential, according to Google, is of rain falling rapidly and with force. So that's torrential, yeah. Okay, and then any other difficult word from here? Disaster, I think most of you know it, right? Disaster. Disaster is a sudden, yes, bencana. It's correct. Disaster is bencana, ya, accident, sudden accident. Okay, sprawling. Okay, I write it down here, sprawl. Anyone know what does it mean, sprawling? Sprawling is just something like a large area covered with a building, but in a messy way. So untidy way. So how do you call it in Indonesia, yeah? So check it first, sprawling. So here, when you see sprawling is a spread out. over a large area in an untidy or irregular way. Yeah, spread out. I mean, I think the building, in this case, is the building spread out in a large area. How do you call it in Indonesia? Yeah, what does it called? Sprawling in Indonesian language. Oh, tergeletak ya. Yeah, perhaps. Let's check. Not this one. Wait. Scrolling. Uh, luas. Hmm. Okay, it doesn't. I think it's not really explaining. Okay, so I just wrote it down in English, yeah. So sprawling is a large area covered with building in an untidy way. So that's sprawling. Hang on, I need to change this one. Okay, so that's sprawling. And you know which one, yeah? Archipelago, what does it mean? Kepulauan, exactly. So a huge group of island, yeah? Okay, that's archipelago. That's very good, Erna. We call it a huge group of island. Hang on, I need to recharge my battery. Okay, and then what else? Dozens of houses was buried in mud. Buried? Does anyone know what does it mean buried? It's from bury, ya. Yeah, terkubur. Exactly, terkubur in this case. And what else? Mud. I think everyone know what does it mean mud. Yes, correct. Lumpur. Correct. Very good, everyone. And then in Lamanel village. Lamanel, I think the name of the village, yeah. And residents, what does it mean, resident? Perumahan, resident, penduduk. I think it's yes, correct. Penduduk Fikri. Yes, correct. Penduduk ya. Okay. So next was away by the flood, referring the eastern part of Flores. And then on Adonara Island, to the east of Flores, a bridge. I think you know I mean this one, you know it, the bridge. Rescuer, I think you know also, yeah. Battling, battle. It's from battle, yeah, like battlefield. Anyone didn't know the meaning? I think everyone know it, yeah. Okay, so next. Anyone want to read again? Okay, I just read it. So this resident inspect the damage at a village hit by flash floods in East Flores, Indonesia. In neighboring East Timor, a 2 years old child was among at least 3 people killed in, hang on, stuck. Anyone want to read?
I want to read, Miss.
Okay, be my guest.
In neighboring East Timor, a 2-year-old child was among at least 3 people killed in a landslide on the outskirts of the capital, Dili. A Reuters witness said, although there was no official toll of casualties or deaths, heavy rains and overflowing water have drowned people's homes and have also claimed the lives of several victims. East Timor Deputy Prime Minister Jose Rice said in a statement, there are roads that have collapsed, trees have fallen, and made it difficult to access some areas, he said, calling the incident the worst in East Timor in 40 years.
Right. Thank you, Clarissa. So, this one is early news. They said at least 3 people. Now, I think already like more than 60 people died, yeah? And any difficult word? What is outskirt? Wait, I think I might write it down here because uh, in the next page, hang on, I write something. Maybe like pinggiran kota ya. Yes, correct. Outskirt is the outskirt is the outer part of a town. So in Indonesian language we call it pinggiran kota ya. Okay, very good. And then other than that, what else? Overflowing, I think yeah. If you don't know, you just write over here or you just say, Miss, I don't know this word. Casualties, we know just now, yeah. Casualties actually is also many deaths as well. Overflowing, over means lebih ya, and flowing mengalir. So airnya berlebih. Overflowing water have drawn people how home. What does it mean drawn? Tenggelam. Yes, exactly. That's very fast. Okay, and then what else? Victims, I think you know it. Victims, several victim. Jadi beberapa korban ya. Okay. Is Deputy Prime Minister. I think you know this one as well ya. State in statement. Collapse, I think you know it. The road has collapsed. Collapse. Rubuh ya. We call it. In this case, road rubuh. But for human, when human collapse, I think pingsan. So the translation, it depends on the sentence. Oh, toll casualties, yeah. What does it mean, toll casualties? Uh, anyone know? Let's check in this one, yeah, in Google. Toll of casualties. Um, it's like total. Toll means a number of deaths. Yes, Erna, korban jiwa. So toll of casualties, so it means the number of people who died from the disaster or accident, like that. Okay, that's correct, Erna. Korban jiwa, ya. Okay, so heavy rain, uh, it made difficult access to some area. Okay, incident. The worst is Timor in 40 years. Right. Okay. So next, what what would you say if someone passed away? You know, sometimes you say something in a group when you know your friend died. What do you say commonly? Rest in peace. Right. I'm so sorry. Deep condolences. Yes, correct, Erna. And then what else? Right now, it is difficult for us to express our condolences face to face, yeah? So we just normally write it down on our text on WhatsApp. So yes, similar, yeah. Please accept my condolences or what? My most condolences. And then I pray God to grant you the strength to pass through these difficulties. And then just know I'm here for you. Please don't hesitate to reach out, especially in these difficulties. So what should you not do when you hurt someone in difficulties? So do not say at least, for example, their house were uh, swept by the water, the flood. So how do you say to those people? I mean, what you shouldn't say to that people? I think they said at least you're still alive. Yeah, some people say do not say that. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Okay, next. Now here. Anyone want to help me to read? Anyone else? No one?
I
Okay.
try, Miss.
Oh, okay. Erna,
Morning, Miss.
morning.
Debris left behind in the town of Adonara in East Flores. Power supplies were cut and the presidential place was flooded as heavy rain and strong wind has left Dili seen late on Saturday. Civil protection officials in East Timor could not immediately be reached for comment. Social media posts show collapsed buildings and vehicles submerged by flash flood. Indonesia Weather Agency said a tropical cyclone was approaching the Sabu Strait between the southern part of Nusa Tenggara province and East Timor north coast, warning that it could bring yet more rain, wave and wind. Thank you, Miss.
Thank you, Erna. So, any difficult word from here? I think you know what does it mean, reach, yeah? Reach menjangkau, collapse, you know, collapse building mean rubuh, ya. Submerge. Submerge artinya apa itu? It's like di bawah air, tenggelam ya. By flash flood. Presidential place. What does it mean, presidential place? Anyone know presidential place? Palace, we call it palace, yeah. What does it mean, presidential palace? So here I search in Google, yeah, Istana Negara. Yeah, exactly. So Istana Negara, yeah. Right. So the president's actual home. Okay. And then cyclone, I think you know, it's the same as cyclone. How to call it in Indonesian? Cyclone. I think similar, yeah. North Coast. Okay. I think so here. Does anyone have ever seen this movie? Oh, hang on. Actually, this is the earthquake in Blitar. I supposed to put this video in an early slide, yeah. So sorry. Hang on. So we continue this one. So that's the house is in a mess. Yeah. So here we see the disaster response to disaster preventions by TED. Yeah. There you go. Can you hear the voice? Oh, okay.
Staples.
Now can you hear?
Good morning, everybody. It's my great pleasure
Oh, okay.
to be here today, and I'd like
Thanks.
to talk to you about resilience. This is a picture of my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, Nancy Staples, and she's leaning on the gate at the end of
What is resilience?
our gardens and the land.
Does anyone know what does it mean, resilience? Hello, good morning, David. Did you just wake up? What does it mean, resilience? Resilience is the ability to recover from difficulties, yeah? So that's, we call it resilience. The capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. Okay, so we continue here, yeah?
That we worked 2 generations ago. My earliest childhood memories are of her and my great-grandmother and my grandfather, particularly at this time of the year, trying to eke out every ounce of nutritional value and economic value from our gardens and from the land. It was a time to harvest, but it was a time to preserve, to jam, to pickle, in any shape, way, or form, that nutritional value, so that we could take the bounty of the summer and extend it for us, our family, but also her generosity, her toughness, and many like her in that generation. But let's talk about resilience today. This is a picture of the Hotel Montana, taken in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, just after the devastating earthquake in 2010. As you can see, it pancaked, killing 200 people or more as it did so. It simply wasn't built to resist the shock. Today, we have to be more concerned about natural disasters than ever before. In the past 30 years, the economic losses from natural disasters have more than tripled. The number of natural disasters has actually doubled. Let's look at the numbers. Over the past 30 years, in low-income and middle-income countries alone, we have lost $1.2 trillion due to damage. That is equivalent to the GDP annually of Mexico. Another way to think of it is that it is equivalent to a third of all of the official development assistance that we've given in the same time period. So think that for every $3 of overseas development aid that we've given, we've taken one and thrown it away. In the same period, those same 30 years, 2.3 million people have perished. That's the population of Namibia. This is something that we need to pay attention to. And it's getting more difficult. Climate change is ravaging, especially poor countries. Already, this is not a phenomenon for the future. It's for us today. Already, countries are trying to work their way through the complex nexus between a food crisis, a water crisis, and an energy crisis. And climate change is just making it more difficult and raising uncertainty. At the same time, over the next 40 years, we will add 2.6 billion people to the cities of the world, most of that in developing countries. In fact, 90% of that growth will be in South Asia and Africa. And between now and 2050, we will double the number of people exposed to cyclones and mudslides and collapse as a result of natural disasters in urban settings to more than 1.5 billion people. The lack of building codes, the lack of enforced building codes, will punish these people. And it will be the poor, for it is always the poor, the most vulnerable, that will suffer most.
So did you notice that? It's so scary, yeah, when it says the poor
Will
will stay
punish
poor.
these people. And it will be the poor, for it is always the poor, the most vulnerable, that will suffer most.
Yeah, you know why? Why the poor is the most vulnerable, the most. Um, because normally they live in unwanted places, like the place that are not really good area.
So think of this story that we are beginning to understand. We have more and more disasters. Their intensity is being developed by climate change. Climate change is adding to uncertainty. And we have a path of urbanization that this civilization has never seen before. How do we invest in our resilience? Well, there are two key ways. First of all, we actually have to change our growth path. We need to move to a greener and more inclusive growth now. Every country can start on that journey. We must mitigate and adapt to climate.
What does mitigate mean? Anyone know what does mitigate? We must mitigate and adapt to climate change. Mengurangi ya, Yeah, mitigate means make less severe, mengurangi.
Climate change. At the same time, we need to invest in disaster risk management. Disaster risk management must be part of development, but it must also be considered a first line of defense against the uncertainty that is coming tomorrow. We need action in the public sector. We need frameworks and public policy. We need awareness and investment in the private sector. And we need civil society and communities to engage. Now, I talked.
Yes, David. No. Yes, David. David, use raise hand. What do you want to say? Nothing? Okay.
This is where we are today. This is the Westin in Sendai, a gorgeous 37-story hotel that survived the catastrophic earthquake on March the 11th, 2011, the Great Japan earthquake, with almost no damage at all. In fact, it served as a disaster response center. Disaster risk management is in the building code in Japan. Disaster risk management in the building code is enforced in Japan. Disaster risk management is part of the curricula in schools in Japan. And disaster risk management, not disaster, is part of the public discourse here in Japan. So every country, every government can take steps now, no matter where they are on the development trajectory, to try to start to invest in their own resilience. But there's much more that can be done by the international community as well. Often, we offer too little, too late. Between 1980 and 2009, the international community spent $90 billion on disaster-related assistance. But of that 90 billion, only 3.6% was invested in prevention and preparedness. The other 96% plus was invested in emergency response and reconstruction. We have to change those numbers. We have to switch that graph around. In fact, we have to move from a tradition of response to a culture of prevention, a culture of resilience. But let me give you an example of what does seem to start working. This is the island of St. Lucia in the Caribbean, a small island developing state buffeted by storms and hurricanes, where landslides are unfortunately far too often part of the rhythm of life.
What does it mean, landslide? Anyone know what does it mean, landslide? Longsor, exactly. Tanah longsor, ya.
Life there. In 2008, the World Bank, working with 5 communities on the island, started to try to invest in the resilience of these communities and their ability to withstand and to avoid landslides. And we built these hillside drains. In 2010, when Hurricane Tomas hit the island, unfortunately many communities suffered the landslides that are so often part of the rhythm of life there. But the 5 communities where these hillside drains had been built suffered no losses at all. It's important to understand the economics of this project as well. For every dollar that the community invested in these drains, it saved another $3 that it would have had to spend on response and on reconstruction if they had not taken the steps towards preparedness. So, if disaster risk resilience seems to make such good economic and business sense, is the private sector interested? Is the private sector investing? Well, the good news is that leaders are. This is a picture of the port of Cartagena in Colombia, which is operated by a private firm, Hueles de Bosque, on a long-term government concession. Recently, they undertook a study together with the International Finance Corporation, the private sector lending arm of the World Bank, where they looked at the risks to the port operating environment from changes in climate and changes in weather pattern. What was interesting is that in order to get the data for the report, they had to go to 30 different public and private sources, which shows that there's much to be done to make the data and awareness of these issues more available to public and private sector alike. But the report resulted in recommendations from changing the dredging regime for the way that ships approach the port, to drainage, to on-side land operations. So, for example, changing the heights of roads and things like this. And as a result of those recommendations, Muelas de Bosque invested $30 million in new capital construction in order to make them more resilient, in order to improve their operations going forward. So this port company was able to see the benefit from investing in their ability to be resilient going forward, and that this was a commercial advantage to them. So I've talked about the public sector, and I've talked about the private sector. And now we need to talk about community. We know empirically that communities that have stronger social bonds do better in disaster. We know.
So here she mentioned that stronger social bond do better in disaster. Yeah, because they can help each other, yeah.
Know that in fact those strong social bonds are one of the strongest determinants of resilience within the community. I mean, it makes intuitive sense. Neighbours know which neighbour needs help, which neighbour is vulnerable, which neighbour is weakest. We also know that families, neighbours and friends are the ones that help reconstruct first after disaster has hit. And so when we think of resilience, this is not an adapt construct. It's not just a word that is thrown around in development circles. Resilience is both the need for public policy and the need for private investment. It's also about a different response from the international community, and it is about the local municipal leaders, the mayors that we elect to lead us through these uncertain times. But resilience, very importantly, is about community. I think the people of Japan know that. I think that my grandmother, her friends, and others in our community when I was growing up knew that too. And so for me personally, when I think of resilience, I think of top-down policy and investment flows, but I think of bottom-up building of community. For me, resilience is about you and me and the bonds that bring us together. Thank you.
Right. So, any comment? I think our disaster, we can hand in hand, although we are in Jakarta, so we can participate or donate some our money to make them better conditions. What's this? From Erna. Oh, okay. Let's check. So I will write here. What is refugee? What does it mean, refugee? Any other people know? Refates, it's from refates, yeah? It's cause severe or extensive damage too. Yeah, vulnerable means kerentanan ya. Vulnerable itu gampang diserang, jadi memang rentan. So, cause severe and extensive damage. So vulnerable means gampang diserang atau kerentanan ya. And then what else? Framework. Framework artinya apa? You know, framework. It's like to support the constructions. Kerangka kerja. Yeah, correct. I'm thinking like, you know, scaffolding. It's like a framework too. Yeah, so that's it is very essential to supporting the constructions. Ya, platform pekerjaan, kerangka kerja atau platform pekerjaan ya. Okay, and then what else? Curricula. I think curricula the same as curriculum. We know it is as a curriculum, yeah. Let's check curricula. Yes, curricula is a curriculum. Curricula is a plural noun of curriculum. Curriculum is one. Yes, correct, Julian. Curricula is a plural form of curriculum. And then discourse, yeah. Discourse? What does it mean, discourse? Discourse is a spoken communication or debate. Spoken communication or debate, yeah. We just say debate. Debat, yeah. Discourse is debat, debate. And then hurricane. Hurricane itu angin kencang. Oh, discourse ceramah atau pidato ya, that's correct. Debate, ceramah. Oke. Iya, topan badai, correct. So, kurikula pekerjaan. Iya, so that's also possible. Curricula, yeah, it's most likely maybe in some work they have also curriculum, and then concessions. Concession to go. I think I make concession. Concession. So what does it mean, concession? Concession. Yes, David. Concession means konsesi. Ya, konsesi itu especially in response to demand. So granting something. Is it clear? Well, it's similar to adjustment, compromise. Yeah, discount, modifications or exceptions. So what is concessions? Yeah, that's a compromise. Yeah, compromise. Miss, the screen turned black. Is it? No, it's okay. Yeah, maybe you need to charge your device, Clarissa. I don't know. Okay. So what else? After consensus, oh, municipal. 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 What does it mean, municipal? Municipal, it's relating to a town or its government body, ya, governing body. Governing body. So municipal. Municipal, you know, in a city, there are always municipal. Ibu kota. Not really ibu kota, ya. Council. It can be council. Council. Community, like that. So that's municipal, yeah. Okay. So that's interesting. I hope you can, you know, there are many very good topic in TED. You can take a look at TED, any other interesting topic actually. And sometimes I also let my students see TED. And okay, any other questions? So we discussed the topic for next year. Any suggestions? If not, I have the idea about GMO or global warming. Which one is interested for you? I mean, which one is interesting? GMO, yeah. Maybe Nur know about GMO. GMO, this one, I think you care about your health, yeah. Which one do you need to choose, organic or GMO? Organic is more expensive and GMO is cheaper. So yeah, so that's GMO. Here, this one, yeah, so we know what, where, and who. Okay. So I have some future plan like making school. May I present it my idea in the next meeting? Oh yes, Julian. Oh sure. Be my guest. So next Sunday, be my guest. Yeah, you can share your future plan. School. That's really awesome. I really like that, Tobias. Okay. So I think enough for today. So see you next week, everyone.
Thank you, Miss.
Thank you, Mr. Tony.
See you next week.
Thank
See
you,
you.
Miss.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss, Mr. Tony.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Miss.
thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Miss. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.